Right back here, still in section 5.10. This time we're going to be looking at the last few little bits, which is mostly about that discriminant. The discriminant is just the inside of the square root part of the formula that we were just using, and I'm sure you fell in love with because it's just so much fun to work with big, huge fractions and square roots all at the same time. So our discriminant is just that inside part. The nice thing about our discriminant is it sort of tells us how many and what types of answers we should be getting. The reason why is because that part is inside of a square root. Well, if the inside of our square root is positive, that means that part of our formula has the plus minus, some kind of a number going on there. Positive, square root kind of thing. So, since it's going to have the plus minus on the top of that fraction, it's going to have two solutions. That's where we've got to add the number and subtract the number. We've got some sort of plus minus thing going on. So when we do our little b squared minus 4ac, that means the square root part of our answer is coming out positive, and that means we're going to get two answers. Now, if the inside of our square root came out to be exactly 0, well, what does that mean? That means we're doing plus or minus 0. Does it matter whether we add nothing or subtract nothing? No, that all just goes away, and so we end up with just one answer. And that's it. Just one answer. No more plus or minus because we add or subtract 0. And that's later on in life we're going to learn that that's what we call a double root, and it's really a double solution, kind of. So we're not going to worry about it much right now, but it just means there's just one solution for us right now. And lastly, this is saying that our square root came out to be negative. Well, if our square root is negative, what does that mean? That means I, and I is imaginary. And there's always going to be two imaginary solutions. There's never just one. It's just how it goes. So, that's it. If our stuff comes out to be positive, our answer is 2. If our stuff comes out to be exactly 0, that means one solution. And if our stuff comes out to be negative, that means I, which means imaginary. And that's really all we got to worry about. So, when we get questions that say, hey, how many or what types of solutions are we going to get for this particular problem? We don't need to use the whole negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. We just need this part, and that's our discriminant. So it's going to tell us. We plug in our a, our b, and our c right here. Negative 4 squared gives us, what is that, 16 minus 16. Well, that comes out to be 0. So since it comes out to be 0, that is one solution. Because if we were doing the whole entire thing, we'd have our number plus or minus 0 right here, because our square root came out to be 0. So that all just goes away, and we're left with just whatever that fraction would be. So example number 13. Here we go, b squared. B squared is going to be 3 squared minus 4 times a, 1, and b, negative 5. Another good reason why we plug things in using our parentheses. 3 squared gives us 9. Negative 4 times negative 5 becomes positive 20, which comes out to 29. Our answer is positive. That means 2 solutions. 2 real solutions, I guess I should say. So 2 real solutions because it comes out positive. Second one, negative b, or no, just b squared, I'm sorry. So used to that other formula. B squared, so negative 4 squared minus 4 times a, 1, and c, 7. So this is going to give me 16 minus 4 times 7, 28. 16 minus 28, and honestly, we know it's going to be negative. That's all that really matters. As soon as we realize, hey, it's going to be negative, and yeah, it's negative 12. But negative answer, well, what does that mean? That means I, and that means imaginary. And with imaginary, there's always 2 imaginary solutions. Never just one. That's how things go. Example 15. Again, b squared minus 4ac. 10 squared minus 4 times 1 times 25. Oh, we can see where this is going. 100 minus 4 times 25, 100 equals 0. As soon as I get that equals 0, I'm automatically thinking 0 looks like 1. Solution. Only 1. And it's real, not imaginary. Alright, so this is exactly how it's going to look on your semester exam type question. This is how it's going to look on your real test. Take this, use your b squared minus 4ac, and you decide which one of these answers it's going to be. The thing that I want you to know, do not ever, 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 ever pick this right here. Don't pick that one. One real and one imaginary, not possible. Two imaginary, one real, or two real. Those are the only situations that we can have. Do not be the kid that goes through and picks that middle C. One real, one imaginary. Can't happen. Don't be that guy. Alright, example number 2 here. What is the solution set? So this is going back to doing our stuff we were doing earlier in part 1. And I'm going to work through these next 2 examples. If you really don't care, you can go ahead and get out of here. But I've got plenty of time to fill, and what else am I going to do? So I'm going to work them out. So it's your call. Stick around or go do something better with your life. That's up to you. So, negative b, negative 6 plus or minus square root of b squared is going to be 6 squared minus 4 times a, 1, and c, negative 3, all over 2 times a, 1. Oh, I got a little bit crazy over here. 6 squared is 36. Negative 4 times negative 12, and this is where we got to pay attention on those signs, is going to make plus 12. So I've got negative 6 plus or minus 36 plus 12 makes 48 all over 2. Well, that ain't so bad. I can break down a 48. What goes into 48? I don't know. 4 times 12 maybe? What makes it 12? 4 and 3? Well, I'm not even going to break down these 4s because I've already got a pair. So, negative 6 plus or minus 4, square roots of 3 had no friends, all over 2. So I'm going to cut my 6 and my 4 in half to get my negative 3 plus or minus 2 square roots of 3. Now when we work this out and we get this type of answer, when we go over here, we want to make sure that we find the right thing. As soon as I see these square roots of 6, I know that we broke down past that. It's not that. Do I have positive 3 or negative 3 in front? Well, I've got my negative 3, so I know it's going to be A. And it really makes me sad when a kid does the work right and then chooses the wrong answer just because it's a whole bunch of numbers and it kind of looks confusing. And you know it's happened to you from time to time. It does. So you want to make sure you take your time, follow all your symbols, and make sure you find the right one. Alright, last thing for today. Again, what are our solutions? We're going to work it out. I see some I's happening in here. Probably going to get a negative in there. Get my I. It'll be alright. Alright, negative b, negative 8, plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4 times a, 6, and c, 3. Get that root all the way out there, all over 2a. Oh man, this one looks great. Some good looking stuff. That's going to turn positive, get me an 8 out front, plus or minus. Alright, what's happening here? 8 times 8 is, 64. 4 times 6 times 3, that's going to be a mess. What do we get there? 4 times 6 is 24, times 3 again is, 72? Is that right? I think so. Yeah, 72. So 64 minus 72 is going to leave me with my negative inside, just like I thought. And 64 minus 72, what's that, 8? Negative 8. Hey, that's nice. 2 times 6 makes 12. Now, as soon as I'm pretty confident that I got the negative on the inside of my square root, I'm already crossing out answers over here that don't have I. I got the negative inside. I know I is going to happen. I see that 34. That's kind of crazy. I only got 8 here. So it's going to be A for our final answer. But let's finish it out and make sure we know process. 8, if we haven't broke this one down enough by now. 2 gets out, 2 stays in. So we got 8 plus or minus 2 square root of 2, and I totally forgot my I. Why did you let me forget the I? I blame you. You should have said something. Why didn't you speak up? All over 12. So I got my 2i, root 2 over 12. 8, 12, and 2, what do they have in common? Well, they broke it down into the two separate fractions for us. So 8 over 12, that's going to reduce to dividing it by 4. So we get our 2 over 3 that way. 8 divided by 4 is 2. 12 divided by 4 is 3. My second fraction, 2 over 12, well, they only got a 2 in common, so that's going to leave my I square root of 2 on top, and 12 divided by 2 is 6. So there is our final little situation out front. I hope you enjoyed that. I'm really looking forward to class so you can talk about this stuff some more. Anyway, have a lovely afternoon or evening or early morning or whenever you decided to watch this, and thank you for trying. That's all we ever really care about. Just try. Make good choices.